Okay. Afternoon, guys. I hope you're all well. Welcome to the latest webinar that we've been running through the Independent Gyms Group. This is the 10th webinar we've been doing now. So again, we're sort of making moves with these. Some familiar faces from the list, also some new faces. So welcome everybody. So this week we're talking with Ryan Charlesworth from Black Raccoon Consulting, or BR Consulting. Very much around sales. So the title of the webinar is Power Your Sales Performance. We're going to obviously record this and we'll post it in the group later for anyone to rewatch. But if you do have any questions as we go, just fire them up through the chatter feature and I'll read them out as we head along. So simple as that, really. Let's hand over to Ryan and away we go.
Hi guys, welcome today. What I'm going to try and do is obviously quite a potentially big subject, so I'm going to run through some bits. Hopefully it will help, and then obviously if you've got any questions at the end, more than happy to stay on, answer the questions as and how they come up, really. So just give me a quick background, guys. I've obviously been a consultant for about 4 years. Some of you know me, some of you don't. But quick background: I used to work for Fitness First, Marriott, Holmes Place prior to that. I also had my own club for about 3 or 4 years. So I've been around a bit. Obviously a lot younger than I am. But just so you know where I've come from. So yeah, today it's all about trying to power your sales performance. If I can get the actual thing to work, there we go. So today's aim really is just to have a quick look at what we're currently facing, having a look inside your club, taking a stock of where you're at, what your processes are, and so on. Some potential strategies to help you succeed once we do finally get open. And then what to expect going forward, and then answer any of your questions on these or anything else related to sales that you guys may have that you want to bring up. So I guess where we're at now I worked with quite a few clubs, from franchises to independent clubs, and there's really been a mixed range. I mean, some of the clubs I've been speaking to haven't had huge amounts of losses of their memberships. Others have had up to 60%. I know my brother probably wouldn't mind me saying, but they've lost at least half of their members. And I don't necessarily think they're all members that have gone completely, like a lot of your ex-members previously, 2019 and previously joined other clubs and so on. But it doesn't make your balance sheets look amazing. I appreciate that. Cash flow is probably fairly tight. I don't know anyone who's sitting on a big load of cash. If you are, lucky you. But I don't think the industry is as a whole. Obviously, you've got your staff on furlough, which is helping to protect costs a little bit. Some people have arrangement with landlords, but obviously at the end of that could come increase of costs. So I guess what I'm trying to say is it's really important that when we do get open finally, that we hit the ground running. What we don't want to do is have a slow burner. We're suddenly going to go from few costs, because your staff on furlough, no rent or reduced rent and stuff like that, to suddenly back to full costs. And if you've lost 50% of your members, obviously half the revenue. So the one thing I will say from all the conversations I'm having in the industry, and you guys are probably seeing a lot of this as well, I don't think it's going to be doom and gloom when we do open. Yes, it's tough at the minute, but if members are anything like me and a lot of the people I've been speaking to, they are going to be dying to get back into their clubs. I think the one benefit you guys have got, being independent clubs, a lot of you, is you've got that relationship with members as well. So they'll want to come back as a community. They'll want to be part of what you're doing. I do think some of the bigger, as I like to call them, rented treadmill clubs may struggle a little bit more. But I think as independent clubs, I think there's a real opportunity to go forward. There is a lot of pent-up frustration. I'm sick of that, tired of being in my house. I work from home anyway. So to not be able to get out and go to the gym, it is quite tough. So there will be people wanting to leave the house. We've also have adapted quite well and improved our offering. So whereas before we pretty much had our clubs and that was it, a lot of us and a lot of the independent gyms have done extremely well looking at taking their classes online, taking PT online, taking PTs to the park, launching boot camps, launching your different nutrition programs and so on. So from a positive point, the COVID has actually given us an opportunity to change our business and adapt, and I think it will give us those benefits going forward, give us more opportunities to sell to the members. like I say, things like the transformation programs. A lot more clubs are doing those. A lot more clubs are doing PT online. That gives you the flexibility of doing them in class or in club and out of club. You've got the hybrid model of currently teaching at home. I know at the end of the first lockdown, a lot of clubs kept that, and they were filming their in-club classes to allow people to train at home and in the club. So the flexibility is there, which is brilliant, and it allows us to increase our high ticket items for the club. So I think probably the best place to start, and those that have done sales and been in the industry a long while will probably realize this. Your club doesn't run or sales don't happen just from the marketing activity and bringing people in. Your processes have got to be there. You've got to know what your business is currently at. And from the people that I've spoken to, a couple of them on this call, there's been a lot of work gone into where is your business at and what do you need to do? What provides your biggest drivers? So for most clubs, it's membership and PT. For other clubs, the transformation programs may be a big driver. But what are the big 3 ticket items? Because what you don't want to do is reopen and start selling 10 different packages, 10 different items. I don't know, we're selling all our nutrition, a big focus on selling nutrition bars in the club. Well, that's all well and good, but they're not high enough ticket items to really drive that revenue. Yes, that will come, but let's look at the big ones first. So let's look at your membership, let's look at your PT, let's look at those transformation programs, Group X, if that's a big driver in your club. Make sure you've got a solid sales process. So you'll be amazed at how many independent clubs I'll go to that don't actually know what their process is. So they allow a client to walk in and they just show them around, nice and friendly, everything else, but there's no set process. They don't know what is the call process, what are the call scripts, what do you expect from your staff when they come into the club and they do a tour. I'm usually quite shocked at how few independent clubs have that set process. I can imagine there's somebody out there that do amazing setups, but you will be surprised how few. If you did a mystery shop on your competitors, how many times they'll walk you in, you won't even sign any or fill in any data, so they won't be able to follow you up. They'll show you around the club, won't ask you to join, and away you walk. It's absolutely incredible. I went to a club when I first moved up to Leeds. I won't say who they are. They were in my village, desperate to join, walked in, asked them, they didn't take my details, showed me around, asked them if I can join in the club, and they said, go online and join. I ended up joining the Nuffield down the road, simply because they didn't follow any process. And I was just like, well, okay, I've still got this. If they'd have joined me up there and then I'd have been a member, probably still now. The other thing to look at is, and something the bigger clubs do very, very well, but again, something independents don't usually do, is looking at their client journeys. So when someone comes into your club, we should be mapping out so the staff know at each point where that client should be. So whether that be a new member coming into or a new prospect coming into your club, what is that sales journey? So how does the tour go? At what point do we say certain things? Same as if a new member joins. If a new member joins, what is that journey? So we're going to get them an orientation or induction. At what point do we sell them PT? At what point do we push them onto transformation programs? If you've got those mapped out and trained out, it's far easier for you, one, to manage it. Secondly, that you know that everybody's doing it. And I promise you, if you know your journeys and you're able to manage each stage of that, your sales will improve. Do you know your business stats? And what are your team's roles in all of that? So I did put these on a separate slide. So like I say, what provides your biggest success? And probably most importantly, what was your previous biggest selling campaigns? We've almost had, 6 months closed out of 10. So what were your biggest campaigns before? You want to know what those are because you'll be able to replicate those. It's not as if we're doing a no joining fee, which we did last month. We haven't had any of these campaigns for a long time. So what was your most successful campaign? Have a look at it, review it. Is that something you want to run again? Same again with your sales process. What's your telephone process? What's your tour process? Follow-up process. Biggest and easiest way to get memberships if they're not joining on point of sale is, what is that follow-up process? At what point do you send them that first text, that first call, that first email? How many times are you going to follow those guys up? All of these sorts of things are really important to map out, guys, and who is doing them. I'll come on to a team in a moment, but as an independent club, unlike the big boys, so if you go into David Lloyd, they'll have a sales team of 5. Now, that's very easy to follow up a sales inquiry, whereas independent clubs, you might have a whole team of 5. That's it. They're also doing PT, cleaning the changing rooms, teaching classes. How are you mapping that out so that your calls are happening? Is it the owner that's doing the calls? Is it the owner and the manager? Who is it that's doing that follow-up? If it's not planned, it won't happen. Also, have a look at automating some of those processes as well. I mean, if you've got a small team, I think I saw Wayne jump on, so Wayne will be able to explain how to do it. But if you're with Clubright, your full follow-up process in regards to emails and texts can be automated. You can set them up so on the client comes in on day 1, they get a text message. On day 3, they'll get an email. On day 7, they'll get an email. On day 8, you guys call. 15, they get an email. You can do that whole process, so it takes away a lot of the pressure off you guys. And if you're doing it automated, you can then push them to an automated sign-up process, which if you're on Clubright, you all know that's available as well. If you're training out things like, well, if you've got the journey, sorry, your teams are then able to deliver a great service just simply because they know what they're doing. Quite often we rely on a great member of staff. So we'll get them in, they're really personable. We just go, oh, they'll be fine. If you give them that journey to follow, half of their challenge is taken away from them. All they're having to do then is bring their personality across and deliver great service, because the actual product itself is delivered the same every time, whoever it is. If you've got someone who's a little bit shyer and not as gregarious, then that doesn't matter, because they've still got the process to follow. Then they're still delivering exceptional service, and they're able to then build into the role. Some good examples. So before obviously all the lockdown, a lot of clubs were doing working with various social media companies. Ben's, who's linked to Independent Gyms UK, will do this, where you give free trials away, whether it be a 1-day, 3-day, 7-day. What is that process? Now, a lot of them, if you allow someone just to come in for a free trial, they'll come for a free trial, they'll leave, they won't join. If you get that set up so they're coming for a free trial, they may have a half-hour PT session, and you've got that whole thing, whole flow working. And also, if they've got a special offer before they join, before they leave the club, that all works then. And whoever delivers that, whoever tours that person at when they come in for their free trial, they go through that whole process. By the end, hopefully they walk out, they've signed up, you've now got a new member. It's pointless driving in 100 free trials into your club if one of them joins. You want 50 of them joining out of those 100, otherwise you're being busy fools. Same with the PT process. I've seen some great PTs delivering free sessions. So a lot of clubs are set up whereby you give a free PT session a month away. I used to work with I won't say who it is, but I used to work with a chain that's part of your membership. You've got a monthly free PT session. There's some others that do that. If you've not got a process to ask for PT, so we used to do these sessions at this club. They used to give them their free PT session, and every month this client to keep coming back. At no stage in the process were the PTs asking whether that client wanted to join. So we had a simple process that we put in, which literally was at the end of that first session or second session, how do you think you feel if you trained with me a little bit more often? That's all we put in there. That increased the sales by about 30%, just because the PT was asking for the sale. Whereas before, it was just literally that monthly free PT every month, and they never upgraded to a PT pack or the one a week package that was available. So it's worth having those things in there. And then we come back to your team's role in all of this. So when you're looking at your club, make sure that the team know their roles. So many clubs that I go into, it's one of the first things I look at and sort of go, right, who does what? And quite often it's everyone does everything. Well, okay, who's doing the follow-up calls? Who does the tours when they come in? How do we make sure there's people available for meeting and greeting on the desk if that's what you need to be? If you've got a busy club, you want that process. How do we speak to members? How do we follow up members? Do we split the membership database? I mean, I don't know how many members are in your clubs, but quite often the independent clubs that I work with are anywhere between sort of 500, well, 300 and 1,000. Now, do you split them up so that the staff each have a certain number of clients each? and they have regular contact with those. That's worked quite well in some clubs, and it's also increased sales. The uptake of PTs increased. But you need to work out who's doing what. The other thing, I did a lot of pre-sales for about 2 years, and the one thing we found was when we used to bring the coaches in for pre-sale, and they'd be doing the sales. And what we found is some were brilliant on the telephone. Some bizarrely hated the telephone, and you guys might have experienced this before, but some people just don't like talking to people on the phone. Especially nowadays, they're so used to text messaging that actually having a conversation with someone is frightening. So what we used to do sometimes is split the teams. Those that were confident on the phone, they did all the follow-up calls. Those that weren't so much, we used to send them out doing the outreach. So they were out doing the flyers, out doing all. Look at your team and do the same things. Use their strength, guys. So if you've got someone who is brilliant at telephone calls, get them doing the follow-ups, but make sure the other guys are doing something as important on the other side. Depending on how you do sales, depending on how you commission them, depends on whether you've got a sales team. But make sure they know, because what you don't want to be doing is driving volume with all the stuff we'll talk about in a minute, driving volume into the club, but then not having anybody to actually manage that volume when it comes in, and you end up losing sales. So all the hard work's done. The cost of driving those people in, I know a few years back, the cost of driving one client into your club was about worth 2 to 3 months membership. That's how much people were paying on the marketing. So you don't want to be paying out all that money to then that person not getting service like I was when I came up to Leeds, and not end up joining. It'd be such a shame. And then same again, do you know your numbers? So all these things are important, guys. Before you even start your marketing stuff, know what your cost per lead is, cost per acquisition, what your conversion rates is on your tour to sale, your lead to sale. So you know how many people, if your target's 30 and your conversion rate's 50%, you've got to have 60 tours into your club. If your lead to conversion is 20%, you know what I mean? You need 150 leads to get those 30 members. So you need, if you know those, you know how much money you need to spend, or none, as the case may be. If you're 100%, then potentially you don't need to spend any money. You've just got to work on on getting those leads in through social media and the various other channels, but without actually paying. But like I say, generating leads is all well and good, but if you're not able to convert them, or you don't know what your conversion rates are, then it doesn't really help. So yeah, so some key strategies really. So I appreciate every business is different. All of our clubs are different in the sense of some are PT gyms, some are very much class-driven Group X, some are 24-hour, and some are mixed, some are functional gyms, CrossFit gyms, and so on. So what we do and the message we send is probably different. The strategies, though, can be pretty much the same. So set out your sales process. So work out your journey, guys. So take some time, take a day, sit down and go, what do I want my journey to look like? Now, whenever I go into clubs, especially independents, I don't know why independents are probably less used to this, maybe because of the background they come from than if you go into the big chains like Holmes Place, where I worked for, Fitness First and so on. Those big clubs script everything. So from the telephone call to the tour to the follow-up, absolutely everything is scripted. And the reason being is it keeps the process the same. It makes sure you can manage that process, and you can also then find the problems and do the training. So if someone's struggling with converting a sale on a tour, you can work. Is it the tour? Is it objection handling? Is it asking for the sale? You can manage that. If you don't have a process or script, it's very difficult to do that. You're relying on somebody being naturally good at sales. And let's be honest, most of our guys who are PTs and so on, that doesn't come naturally. They're great with people, and they're great with customers, but being a great salesperson is a completely different animal. And I think you should train someone, and if you give someone the scripts, they learn the scripts and then they'll adapt it into their own way of being. I can still reel off the telephone script from when I was at Marriott. When I was taught it at Marriott all them years ago, I still reel off exactly the same script. It worked then, it works now, but I put my personality aside, but I can still reel that off now. And that's the good thing. Like anything, if you've read all those books about 10,000 hours of practice, the more you practice, the more it becomes the norm, the more it becomes ingrained, the more you can put your personality on it. If it's good enough for the likes of Casey Conrad, If you've not heard of Casey Conrad, she is a industry guru on sales, American lady, absolutely bonkers. If you listen to her on any podcast, but she is amazing. Plenty of books out. You can buy her books on Amazon. Jordan Belfort, if you've ever listened to his actual sales stuff, that's all scripts. The whole thing he trains out is on scripts and how to deliver it. Now, if it's good enough for those guys, I think we should take that on board. I'm not saying you have to go as in depth, but it's definitely worth looking at. Automate your follow-up as much as possible, guys. You don't have huge teams. So if you've got ClubWright, speak to Wayne and his team, and they'll tell you how to do it. If you haven't got ClubWright, speak to your CRM system. I don't know a CRM system now. There are some out there, I'm sure, but I don't know any that don't have the ability to automate emails and texts and so on. If you don't try it through MailChimp and so on, but definitely automate where you can in terms of those follow-ups. Get a plan in place. Too many clubs still work on a whim. They'll wake up in the morning and go, I'll do this offer, bang it out and expect results. Plan it out, guys, and make sure that you're ready for at least 2 weeks in advance for when you're launching it, so you can get all your social media activity ready, scheduled if you can. If even further ahead, preferably, so you can get things like your banners and stuff ordered as well. Bizarrely, I'll come on to it. Banners do still work. Flyers, not so much, but they may have a comeback with everybody stuck at home. But definitely banners. But also, it gives you an opportunity to look and plan out any new products that you're looking to launch. Things like upgrades to memberships, any boot camps that you're launching, stuff like that. It gives you a chance to feed those things out gradually. A lot of people, what they do is they want to launch a new product. They'll launch it tomorrow, expect results by Friday, and that doesn't work. You're better off pushing it out, get the word out there slowly, and then hit it when it's in people's mindset. So the other thing to potentially look at the moment is with us being stuck at home and with a lot of people now working from home, there is a real opportunity to take your sales process online. So not just joining online, but there is an opportunity to take your club tour online. Some clubs have done this really spectacularly that I've seen recently. And they've had a 3D model created. They've had a 3D walkthrough created. If you want to know some companies that can do that, I can put you in touch with some. The guys I was talking to, they'll come in and do a 3D model for about 650 quid. You guys might be able to find them cheaper. I don't know whether, Rob, there's someone on in your group that does that. But it gives you a real opportunity that you don't even need to then drag that person down for a tour into your club. You can get on a Zoom thing like we're doing now, take them through your club, show them what it's all about, and give them a real idea of where you're at. Point them to an online joining link, which, like I say, most of the CRMs, I know definitely ClubWright do. Feels like I'm selling ClubWright today, but you can definitely do it through there. Push them onto that. They join online. Happy days. Arrange their first visit. There's a lot of people that, and especially you guys don't want hundreds and hundreds of people coming in your club when you're going to have restricted access anyway for your members. It also means that you can pretty much get a telephone call, say to someone, right, I'm going to throw you a Zoom code, get them straight on the tour there or then, and sell the membership straight away without having to do the traditional telephone call, book appointment, get them to come in, do the tour, and all the follow-up that goes with it. It does speed up the process. Don't forget as well that the one big thing that we're seeing on social media is when people are looking at offers and they do it, they want to reply pretty quick. I know a lot of work we did with One Life back in the day. When someone applied for that 7-day pass, it was pretty much an instant. They wanted a reply there and then, so they'd fill in their details, and then you had 10 minutes really. The drop-off rate was quite significant. If someone applied and you contacted them in a day's time, the chance of them showing up dropped off huge. I can't remember the exact stats, but it was minimal. It was like 10% of the people after 24 hours didn't show up for their appointments. It was crazy. But if you got them within 10 minutes when they're sat on the internet completing the form, they turned up. So if they did that straight away and you were able to reply, get them on a Zoom call, show them the club straight away, the chance of getting that sale improves massively because they're there, they're excited, they're ready to go. The other thing to look at is make sure your business is all over the internet. Now, I know this sort of makes sense, but you'll be amazed how many people don't. They have a website, they have their social media, their Instagram, their Facebook, but they don't have a Google business account. They don't have, they're not on Bing, Yahoo, they're not on Apple Connect. A few years ago, and I didn't realize this, a few years ago, they took away the link between Google Maps and Apple Maps. So now if you're searching on Google, or if you're searching on your Apple phone, sorry, your business may not appear because it's not on Apple Connect. It's a 5-minute job to do, and it's it's worth doing. Then get your site. Now Google Works, it trusts your website apparently. After the research we've done, that it trusts your website if it's on more than one other directory website. So if you can get your business on 10, 15, 20 different directory websites, Google trusts your website more, which obviously improves your SEO and shoots you up the Google search better, especially with a lot of clubs that are sat in towns and villages, not in big city centers. I know some of them are, but they're sat in the villages and towns. So your community clubs, to get yourselves up to the top of the Google search is actually fairly easy, as long as you are everywhere on every other thing that you can do. Treat your Google business page a bit like your Facebook. Make sure you post on there regularly, 2-3 times a week. Post an image, post a promotion, post a video, so that Google starts trusting who you are and what you do and everything else, and you'll soon appear higher up the rankings. In the same way, get your members and friends, family, partners, everyone to go on there and leave reviews. Try not to do them all on the same day. Google tends to not like that. It looks a bit dodgy for them, but definitely go on and get plenty of reviews on your sites. And then the other one is, if you're putting images either on Facebook or on any of the different directory channels and Google and so on, name them so your name is in the image. So the image isn't just called PT, it's called personal training at Black Raccoon. The reason being is if someone's doing image search or searches on Google, those images will appear, but because of the name, that's a lot of how it searches. So it's just a little simple trick that can work and help drive your SEO. Your members are going to be key. Sorry if we run over a little bit, guys, but members will be key. Obviously, your membership may have dropped. Also, getting new members may be harder. So utilize them, guys. Get in there with the referrals. Make sure, do things like buddy PT sessions. So when you're doing your PT sessions, get them to bring a friend along. Free trials for friends and family. I think when you first open, don't throw out loads of free trials to every Tom, Dick and Harry. Keep the initial bit just for your members, so it feels a lot more special. Have a look at changing membership plans, guys. A lot of clubs just have membership and PT and they're separate. Have a look at increasing your yield on your membership by putting things like personal training or transformation or dietary programs, things like that inside those memberships. So you create different scales of membership to try and increase your yield. Same with the ex-members. Obviously, don't forget, a lot of your ex-members have only left because they don't want to pay their membership while you're closed. Get back in touch with them, but make sure that contact isn't just a random text or email. See whether you can, while you're closed and you've got the opportunity, ring those members, see how they're getting on and see whether they're looking to rejoin, and give them the link to rejoin when they're ready. And then just before you open, that's when the emails and the text start going out to get people rejoining. Get your team on board. Even if you have to pay your team a couple of hours a week to get onto that, it'd be well worth you doing. The other thing to look at the minute, because of the way it's going up and down, hopefully it won't be another lockdown, but people are nervous about signing 12-month contracts. So if you do have 12-month contracts, it may be looking at reviewing those and bringing in short-term 3 months, 6 months, and so on, just for the short term while we reopen. Give those people the comfort that they're not signing a 12-month contract if it's going to go back into lockdown. Just a few things from finding new prospects, guys. I'll try to keep it quick. So in the short, medium, long-term goals, guys, make sure you've got a plan. Obviously, we won't have huge amounts of money, a lot of the clubs, so we've got to try and do what we can to make every penny count. Leverage your social media, guys. You don't need to spend huge money. I'll probably get told off by all these social media companies, but you can have great success by not pumping loads of money in. I think if you're going to go small, you're better off going organic. If you're going to put some money into it, hire a company to go and do it for you properly. But make sure your content's engaging. Use micro-influencers, guys. There's plenty of them out there that are looking to link with companies. Use them in your area. Micro-influencers with sort of 2,000 to 10,000 followers usually means they've got local followers. So that's a great use of those. Same again, maximize your members, get them leave, especially on Instagram, when they're coming to the club or they're doing your PT sessions online or in the park, get them to post their picture to say what they've done and tag you in. Use competitions. Join all your local Facebook groups, guys. If you haven't done this, you're crazy. Mother and baby groups are huge. You quite find the biggest groups in a local area, mother and baby groups. We had one in Ruddington, in Nottingham, where it was Ruddington Mums, it was called. It was the local area's Facebook page. The one in Epsom and Ewell Families, I think it's called. They are the biggest Facebook page in that area. Link with those guys and see whether you can invite them down to your club. See whether you can get some information on there and obviously start posting. Ensure your website's strong, guys. Like I say, web searches, your Google, your Yahoo, Bing, so on. Corporates may be a little bit more difficult because obviously a lot of people are working from home, but the fact that corporate wellness programs are becoming a lot more popular, it's definitely worth getting in touch with your local corporates and using those. Don't be afraid. If you haven't linked with Incorpora, get onto those guys. A really good way of getting, they put you on a lot of the big blue chip companies, your banks, like the likes of Boots, people like that, Vision Express and so on. They tend to go in with Incorpora to get these discounts. If you're linked to them, that people can just literally sign up online and they get I think you have to give 10% discount, which isn't bad. Off your membership. Great thing is you get the money up front, guys, so they can't cancel either. So once they join it's a taxable benefit. You get a check with your 12 months up front. They can't cancel. That money's yours. Gym Pass is another one. I know it's a bit of a aggregator, which I'll come on onto in a minute, but Gym Pass are quite a good one because they work with companies. The difference is if there's, say, a big Sainsbury's in your area, they won't join and pay your rates because they get it. I think quite often what happens is the company pays half of the. So if your memberships, if the Gym Pass membership's 30 quid, the company pays 15 or 20 and the client's only paying. They're not going to come and pay your 30, 40 pound a month membership and then get membership for a tenner. So it's a bit of one of those ones. Jump in. You guys get paid per pass, but if they come 8 times in a month, you get the full 30 quid. So have a look into it. Is it Sean Beecham, Rob, that does that? I think it's Sean Beecham that does.
Sure, we can find out there.
Yeah, but I can get someone the link if they really want with Gym Pass. Signage and banners, guys, they do work. Depends on your area, whether your local council lets you just put them up. But if you can get away with it, they are a great way of getting them up. Get them up on a high traffic area. If they last a month, happy days. You've done really well. You can get banners for 50 quid now. They're not expensive. Printabanner.co.uk. You can design your own, print it, and it's delivered in 3 days. Aggregators. I know a lot of you guys don't like these guys, the likes of Hustle and so on. The one benefit behind them is, though, they increase your SEO massively. They put so much money behind marketing that if you're on their site, it does bump you up on the Google check. So even if you just use it for a marketing aspect, they're well worth looking at. But obviously, that's a personal choice. But I've had some great success with it. Outreach activity, you can start doing that again once we're allowed back on the street. Just be careful how you do it, guys, because obviously people won't be taking flyers and stuff from you, so it won't be as effective as it was before. But I think it's definitely worth doing outside Sainsbury's, Tesco's, and those sorts of places. One big thing I advocate every single time is make friends with your neighbouring companies, guys. Everybody, especially if you're in a small town, is going to want to have access to your membership database. You're lucky. Whereas shops is a lot of very transient business. They're in and out. They don't keep the client's details or anything else. You have a database of clients, guys, that are regulars. They're in your business all the time. If you've got local neighborhood businesses, whether it be restaurants, cafe shops, bar, whatever they are, guys, even if you've got local activity centers and stuff like that, link with them, because they can drive business into your club in the same way you can help them out. Create some great relationships. get a banner up in their business. Coffee shops are quite good for doing outreach. Go and pick a corner of their shop and do outreach in them. So definitely start making relationships with those guys. And local schools are the other ones, guys. If you haven't done this, all schools have healthy awareness weeks, nutrition talks, all sorts for the kids. Teachers are not quite often, especially junior schools, primary schools, they have book bags, and the teachers aren't PE teachers either. If you can go in, we used to do, when I had my club, we used to go into both schools, after school boot camps. We used to do PE lessons with them once a month. We used to do the health awareness weeks with them, go and have the kids running around all the time. We used to help out with their sports days, and we used to get so much access to the parents. It was unbelievable, from flyers in the school bags to free stands at their fairs, all that sort of stuff. They used to put us in the newsletters, used to love us just because we provided so much. And it's good, well, it's good fun if you like kids, but if you don't like kids, maybe not. But it's well worth doing if you've got 2 or 3 local schools around you. It's a bit harder with the secondary schools, but definitely the junior schools. And then finally, guys, get moving. I know it's been quite a quick whistle stop, but we should hopefully, well, we're not going to find out today when we're open, by all accounts, from the news I've heard, but hopefully, I know Graham was saying, Mike was saying something earlier about he's heard something potentially mid-April, Mike. So hopefully we might be lucky for mid-April. Make sure you've got time to create your plans, guys. If you need a bit of help, I'm more than happy to jump on a call, guys, individually if you want. I really don't mind doing that, jumping on a call for half an hour with you guys to help out. Don't be afraid to pivot and try something new. I've seen some amazing stuff come out. I know Steve McCloy, I hope you don't mind me saying, you've just launched your weight loss thing online. Looks absolutely bloody amazing, bud. And obviously that's been born through the lockdown. I don't know if there was a plan back in April last year, but it looks pretty amazing. Look at stuff like that, guys. If you haven't seen it, I'm sure Steve won't mind you jumping on and having a look. But have a look at your businesses, guys. See what else you can offer. It's not just the brick and mortar anymore. There's so much more stuff we can do. Role play. If you're going to introduce scripts, guys, your staff will hate me for saying this, but you can blame me. Role play everything you do with your guys, whether that's from your membership sales calls to your tours, to absolutely everything. Get them to role play with you. Throw in a few objections. Throw in a few challenges to make them think about it, but also then give them the solutions. Do it in your team meetings, guys. I've advocate massively that you have at least 15, 20 minutes in your team meetings every month, every week, whenever you do them, for training. So whether that's whatever training you're doing, but I would always put some role play in there, whether that, like I say, membership tour, whether it's PT sales, whatever it is. Because it ingrains that process. And if you do it as a team rather than one-on-one, they all learn and they're all able to feedback. A good way to do it is have two of, depending on how big your team is, have 2 of them doing it. So one presenting, one being the customer, the others then that are watching all have to feedback first. That's the way I've always done it. And it works. So you don't provide the feedback, the team provide the feedback as to what they should have done better. Give yourself space and automate the process. So like I was saying before, if you can automate whatever you can, take what you can online. I would at the moment, guys. People are used to doing everything online. We're doing it now. So you utilize that and be personal. The one thing you guys have, which the big clubs don't, is the fact that you know your members, you can be personable, and you can provide that one-to-one or that more individualized service. Don't be a rent-a treadmill. I hate rent-a treadmill gyms. We all know who they are. Do something that really drives. I know all you guys do, all the guys I know, but make sure you're doing that. And that's pretty much me, guys. Obviously, make your own happiness, because that's what it's all about. Any questions?
Ryan, that was awesome. Thank you very much. So that certainly took me back to my membership days, I must admit, going back a while. Guys, if you've got any questions, the chatter feature at the bottom, the chat feature, just fire them up through there, and I'll read them out, and hopefully Ryan will answer. I've made a few notes myself, so if I kick off, I did make just a sentence down here. Sales isn't just personality; it's a process.
Absolutely. I think the biggest thing is when I go into work with clubs, independent and franchise clubs, quite often there's no real process there. And what you're expecting is you're taking a PT, because quite often independent clubs are set up, and I might be wrong, but the ones I've worked with tend to have the owner, general manager, team of PTs. You don't tend to have these big structures that the likes of Marriott, Fitness First, and all them seem to have with their sales teams. And so you're expecting someone who's trained and qualified to be a PT, an amazing PT, a lot of them are, to then suddenly be great at sales. And they are two different things altogether. And so if you can give them those processes to follow and those scripts to follow, you'll take someone who's got great personality, ability to then turn them into a great salespeople. And it's not hard, and they just got to practice. And that's why I say role play is really good. I remember, and I go back to Fitness Space. When I joined Fitness Space, and we had Tim Benjamin. I don't know whether any of you know Tim. He's an ex-400 meter runner. But when we used to go in there, he used to have an elevator pitch as part of our sales process. And you couldn't walk in the office without him going. At some point in the day, he wouldn't just say extra elevator pitch. And you'd have to reel off this 30-second elevator pitch every single time. And if you didn't get it right, it was right. In my office, let's do 5 minutes of role play with the elevator pitch. And in the end, you used to be able to walk into clubs and just reel this elevator pitch off. And that's what you wanted us to sell. That was his process, and it worked. But if you didn't role play it, you'd have never been able to reel off this sales process he had. So yeah, definitely, process is massive, and it's probably as important, if not more, than the personality.
Yeah, agreed. Touching on the role play subject there, I think I'd probably be one of the ones that hated you back in my day, because I dreaded role plays. But what I'd probably say is just brand it as practice. If there's an automatic tag of role play, the word role play, and people back away and get shy or whatever,
I don't think there's any harm. I don't think there's any harm in my experience. You're probably right for some people, but I don't think there's any harm in putting people on the spot a little bit in those scenarios. Or it's nice to do it as a group. I think if you do it one-on-one, owner versus a PT, it can be quite daunting. I think if you do it in a group and you're taking it in turns, to one person be the customer, one person. And the nice thing about having people, your colleagues, feedback as well, and this is something worth saying. If you're sat in a group and your colleagues are feeding back and not your boss, the feedback tends to be taken on better. It also makes sure that those people watching are actually listening to what's going on, because quite often they'll keep their head down going, I hope I don't get asked, hope I don't get asked. They're also thinking about how they're going to do it. If you get them concentrating on that, they learn a lot better, and that feedback tends to be a lot truer.
Yeah, agree. So do you think the sales process has changed from 10 years ago, 15 years ago, when it was very much a meet and greet, needs analysis, tour?
I think it has, and I think largely because a lot of clubs don't have a bar area to sit people down in. I think it used to be the case. I mean, when I was in Marriott, Holmes Place, we used to take some in, they'd fill out a needs analysis questionnaire, you'd go and sit them down and do a full needs analysis. I don't think that should not happen. I definitely think a needs analysis should happen. I think a lot more clubs now do it on the tour, which is fine if that's your process. But you still should be able to ask questions. I also don't think it's wrong to ask those questions and fill out a form. And a classic example of this.
Ryan, you've frozen my screen, Russian. Carry on.
If you're doing a needs analysis form and the question is what goals are you looking to achieve? So if you're doing the 4 W's and 8's questions, what, where, why, when, how, and what are you looking to achieve? If someone was to say, I'm looking to lose weight, and this is just a psychological thing, and you wrote lose weight in big, that emotionally someone attaches that. you may think it's probably not a nice thing to do, but emotionally now you're attaching that weight loss to what you're writing. It also looks like you're confirming what they're saying. So you're looking to lose weight. Same again, if someone's coming in, they're smaller, they want to gain weight, they want to bulk up. If you put increased size or muscle gain or whatever wording you use, you write that in small. In their mind, psychologically, they see that as small. They want that now is attaching joining your club to their emotional goal. You've got to remember, people join either for an emotional gain, to have happiness and so on, or to get away from a negative, so away from pain. So it's either pleasure or pain. So if you've got to get that person in that emotional state. If you just tour them around the club, this is a treadmill, this is a bike, this is you're never going to get that emotional attachment. So when they come and go, oh, I need to think about it, you've got no way of overcoming that. Then you've got nowhere. So you told me before you're looking to do it by here for your wedding, you just haven't got any of that information. So whether you sit them down and do a needs analysis, or whether you do that needs analysis as you walk, if you're like some waiters in a great restaurant that take your order without having to write it down, I could never do that, by the way. If you're able to do that and you're able to take in all this information and throw it back at them later on, then brilliant. I can guarantee you most your PTs can't though. So if you can, I would have 2 chairs, have them sat down for 5 to 10 minutes to go through some questions. Just need to take a quick seat to find out what you're looking for. Look around the club. I'll run you through the financial details and then we'll see if we can get you started. That's all you need to say to them, nice and quick, get them sat down, ask them the questions. But I personally, I don't think the process should have changed that much over the last 10 years because I do still think you've got to do a meet and greet. You may have to look at your meet and greet a little bit. You're potentially now going to have a mask on. You're potentially not going to be able to shake their hand. So that side of it is gone for the meet and greet. But I do think you should sit them down personally. But that is really a call for the club manager or owner.
Okay. The bit that I always handed over, the new member journey, for me working in clubs, I was very much to the point of joining, get their induction booked, and then it was over to the other guys. Any sort of tips and tricks on the new member journey once they've signed up? Where can you upsell and what can you add to their membership as they go?
Now, a lot of the clubs that I've worked with recently have gone away from having an induction or a free PT session on joining. I think that's a real shame. I think a lot of people come in, I know what I'm doing, I just want to go and... I'm not saying we should force people to have an induction and show them kit. I do think we should, where humanly possible, get everyone in front of a personal trainer, though, in some regards. Because what that does is, one, it makes sure that person is engaging with another member of staff. You've got to remember, on the sales process, they've only met the person who sells, and that might be the owner, who they hardly ever see again. For whatever reason, that person doesn't do PT, so that person is no longer on their journey. If it's be on that journey any longer. So you want to introduce them to another person they know so they feel comfortable coming into the club. They've also got that one person who can help them through their journey. A lot of people will say, I don't need help, when actually they do. They're saying that because they don't want to intrude, they don't feel comfortable, or whatever it is. The moment you get them with a PT, they relax, they chill, they open up, and you're then able to sell to them. If you give someone a free PT session, whether that's a one-off, whether that's one every month, whichever way you go, or if it's an induction, you're then able to upsell to the various other products. I do think it's another way to do it is at point of sale is not just book them in for an induction, try and book them in for their first class. Try and book them in for a diet review if that's something. It depends on what their needs analysis was. If it came up that weight loss, then I think you'd be quite crazy. Like Steve, he's got his weight loss program that he's launching. Automatically, you would push them towards that and try and get an upsell on that. But you need to try and get them introduced to another member of staff as early on as possible. Otherwise, the other thing you've got to remember is if you're trying to then have regular contact with them, if you send someone an email 3 months after trying to sell them PT, you haven't earned any right to sell that person anything because you've not had any contact with them for 3 months. You signed them up, they might have been in your club, but you've not had any meaningful conversation potentially with that client for 3 months. You suddenly send them then a newsletter or a thing to say PT pack 10 for 250 or whatever it is, and you've not earned the right. If you've got regular contact with them, they've had an induction or a free PT session, then that PT's had a regular contact either once a month through a text message, quick call, hope everything's going okay. If you've had that, by the time then you send them that offer, 10 sessions for 250, I might be interested in that. I'll speak to Dave or speak to Rob about his PT session because I know I really enjoyed that first one that I had with him. So yeah, I think that early contact point is really important in the client journey.
Cool. Awesome. Right, last one for me then. Member referrals was always a huge part of what I was doing as a sales professional. How would you go about member referrals, the process, the value to the gifts, or would you give a gift? How would you run your member referrals? I
don't necessarily think gifts are always important. Quite often members will refer with that. If you can give a gift, it's a bit of an incentive for those that wouldn't necessarily refer. I think the better way though is doing things like the buddy sessions. So if you've got someone who's on PT already, ask them if they want to bring a friend along to that session. They don't always do it because obviously they quite enjoy their one-on-one. But in that case, you can always say, don't worry, but I can offer them a free PT session. I would do it through that in terms of opening up space in your classes for referrals. So bring a friend. It's a nice way of boosting the classes that are less popular as well. So you open up certain classes in your club that may have dropped in numbers, but keep certain number of sessions available. Try also keep them. It's quite hard these days because a lot of free passes have been thrown around like confetti to get people into clubs. So telling a member to bring someone along for free doesn't have the same value. I know we never used to give free passes away. We always used to charge people a nominal fee. If they decided to join, we'd take that off their joining fee or off their first month. So sometimes it's worth doing that, depending on where you're sat and what your sales offer is. If you've got an offer that's no joining fee, for instance, you're not pushing the free trials. Keep it quite tight so that those trials are for members only, so that they've got some value. If someone wants to come in and try your club, charge them. There's no harm in charging someone for a pass. I want to come try your club. Yeah, no problem at all. It's £5 or £10. The great thing is, if you love the club after that, we'll take that off your first month's subscriptions. So technically, the client doesn't pay if they decide to join. But referral gifts you can do. The most popular ones tend to be where you give instant gratification. So if you can give an instant gift, if you can give a month free. I have tried it in the past where the member has to take months, or you give them an extra month, but it's tagged on at the end of the contract. Doesn't tend to have the same impact because it's not instant gratification. It's the same as anything. If you do something for someone, you want that return straight away. So whatever the gift is, either give them cash or give it off the next month's membership is the way to do it. But I would invite them into stuff that you're doing in the club. So if you do a transformation pack and you have a price for members and a price for non-members, give the referral the member's price. Things like that. So you're giving that member the added benefit.
Yeah, great. And I'll just add to this as well. Whenever I did open weekends, we'd invite obviously free passes, but it wouldn't just be a turn up and play. It would be a pre-registration. So we'd always have a name,
absolutely,
an email in advance. And if an open weekend, yes, you'd have the same people that would turn up, but they were always registered in advance. So we'd know they were tire kickers and we'd let them in and move on. But we wouldn't just let a blanket of people come in for free.
I think that's with any program that you do, try and make it so it's all bookable. So any free trials you launch on, whether it be social media, it's booked in advance. If it's referrals, try getting booked in advance, so that so you know who's coming in and you've got their details. Details are key. Once you've got them, they may not join now, but they might join in 3 months when things change. So at least you can market to them. They've given you permission to do that.
Yeah, great. So Ryan, I think that's it. That's all the questions come through. So thank you very much.
No problem. If I was going to say, if anybody does want to give us a shout, obviously I'm on LinkedIn. Obviously the details of on the presentation, or get in touch with Rob. The details are on the Independent Gym site as well. So, but I'm more than happy to have a chat with anybody free of charge. So just get them to give us a shout.
Fantastic. And then obviously the big news today, Boris is making his announcement. I think he's in House of Commons at 3:30. So I'll summarise as normal and post up in the group on that one. And then one other webinar this week for anybody who does want to jump on board. Therabody are hosting a webinar called Recovery Reinvented. That's on Wednesday at 1 o'clock. So Therabody are I've written this down, the percussive therapy massage guns. So that'd be an interesting one to jump on. If you've not booked, the link is in the Facebook group, and I'll be posting it up again later today. But
they are pretty impressive pieces of kit if you've never tried them.
Yeah, I'm going to be getting one, I must admit, but I'm going to watch the webinar first, and I hope everyone else will too. So,
Nice.
Guys, Ryan, thank you very much. Much
appreciated. No problem, guys. I hope that helps.
And we'll speak to you all soon.
All right, cheers, guys. Take it easy.